Oh, goody. YouTube is not receiving enough.
So
Are we doing? Are we gonna have to do an episode 2? Nope. There we go. Excellent connection.
yeah. So we're back tentatively. I say, hoping that my internet connection can actually stream today. Listen, I I I have no ex. I've explained many times that I don't control the internet connection. I don't pay for it. Therefore, I don't get a right to complain about what quality it is. It's just, you know, it's just the way that it is. And my parents are not really very big online people. So if the internet connection is
It's having.
okay, well, hopefully, fingers crossed, that works. I see that the stream is still live. We dropped some frames. Callum, can you hear me? Please tell me you can hear me. Callum,
Hello.
please tell me you can hear me.
I can hear you.
And yeah,
Can
sorry.
you hear me?
Yeah, this is just look, it's gonna be frustrating. Thank you for bearing with us. Really, very much appreciated. Maybe sometime this century, I'll get a better internet connection.
I mean,
Uh,
to be honest, it's starting to feel like you just shouldn't be the one who's doing the streaming.
yeah, yeah. I guess that's it. Maybe it should just always be you streaming. But then sometimes you don't have the game that we want to stream, and then we're sort of stuck in a bind. But yeah,
And you can fix that out in the audience by subscribing to our Patreon or donating to these streams.
yeah, and then we could afford to make Callum the one who buys all the video games because I
Yeah.
I have an income and
I do not. This is my income. You were
yes,
literally, I am living ration to ration, and you are all providing the rations.
yeah, yeah,
Feed me.
yeah. This is
If you want magic videos, feed me.
I mean, you should support us anyway because
Yeah,
this
also Emilio.
yeah this is
Emilio does good content, and money is a great motivator.
yeah, I would maybe be tempted to make more than one Batman video. um,
Mm.
but yeah,
We could do a ranking video. If we get enough money, I would be able to convince Emilio to do a ranking video of the Batman villains with me.
oh yeah, we should make that a Patreon goal. Uh,
Yeah, a pledge.
it'd be like 2 hours long.
I'm seeing no data on the stream again. I don't know what's going. YouTube is losing its mind.
Listen, the connection says that it has 4 bars. All right, I don't know what else to do. It says that it's live on Streamlabs.
Let me see if I can do something. Oh man, I can actually, yeah. 10 super chats. That's a bit high. Let's make 5, yeah. We'll celebrate with I'll force Emilio to play Dragon Ball Xenoverse with me. There we go. That's our goal for this stream.
Okay, so let's talk about Train Valley 2, because otherwise I will be very frustrated just talking about my internet woes. So, this level is the start of the globalization era. Why they didn't call it the modernist era, I'm not exactly sure. But here we are in sunny Cape Town. Callum, you've been to Cape Town recently. Did it have
Yes.
a giant...
Sun?
did it
It
have a...
had sun.
Did it have a giant warehouse delivering plastics? And a glue
Oh, I'm sure
factory?
it did.
And
Yeah,
a
I'm pretty
tire
sure it
factory?
did.
And an elephant?
I didn't see any elephants, but I'm like 100% sure that it had all of those factories. It's a huge place.
And penguins! Although I
It
think
has
that...
penguins.
Although I think that's more of like a Simonstown thing.
Penguins, it depends where you go. I think there are a few like in several parts of Cape Town. I don't know why you're asking me this. I know literally nothing about any country on Earth.
including the one that you live in. Um,
Yeah. Why
so
would I need to know? I'd never leave my room. Why would I need to know what's outside of it?
okay, so uh, in the globalization era, we are increasingly dealing with much more complicated challenges to logistics, right? So in terms of this level, we have to produce wire, but we need electricity. We have to produce glue. The real challenging thing here are appliances, which are made by tires and copper. So that's going to be difficult because we have to get the rubber from here to get to the tires and, a bunch of other things. Also, the
Mm.
buildings need a lot of stuff. So this one needs rubber and copper wires. This one needs appliances and glue. I assume that must be like the city center with the giant stadium and also, like this suburban part of Cape Town.
Yeah,
Now,
although it should be way bigger.
yeah, obviously, I feel like it's not necessarily to scale, but um,
Yeah, it's genuinely it's one of the most beautiful cities. And I've been to quite a few cities.
yeah, I mean, Cape Town it has issues, right? But every city does. But
Yeah,
I think in general, like in a general sense, it's probably one of the best looking cities in the world. Um,
absolutely. It is gorgeous. The surroundings are great. The city actually looks like it was built aesthetically pleasingly. It doesn't look like it was just sort of like slapped together. You know how Joburg has that way of looking like everything was kind of built at the last minute?
Joburg looks the way that it does because it was
Everything was kind of built at the last
it
minute.
was
They didn't
a
expect it to get so big.
it was a mining town.
Yeah, and then there was a gold rush, and they were like, well, we have to keep building houses.
Yeah, exactly. So nobody ever expected to find gold in the Witwatersrand, right? So it's like one of those things where it's like, oh, there's gold here. I guess we have to build a city. um,
Yep.
whereas
Whoops.
whereas
That's why it's called Johannesburg, right? Because, like, that means gold or something?
I thought it was named after a guy named Johannes.
Probably. I might have just spread misinformation. If you ever needed a reason to cancel us,
Yeah, that. Okay, so I'm going into this episode blind. I don't have a strategy prepared for dealing with Cape. God.
let's just give it a second.
Again, I've got 5 bars. If
There
we're
we
having
go.
if
It's
we're having
back.
frame drops, I apologize, but my Wi-Fi says that it's got 5 bars. I don't know how else to make it behave. Okay, so the strategy for this level is to try and stack our goods as fast as possible because the machine appliances are hard to make because they require two goods that are complicated.
I
And
see.
the the good news is that we only have one natural resource um, that we have to produce, and that's rubber. Everything else, the
Uh-huh.
ingots and the plastics, we get from trade. Basically, they come from ships. So the challenge, I think, will be trying to do this quickly. Because in theory, if we can just stack copper and plastic, we can easily get the amount that we need. It's just a matter of like routing optimization. I think another
Mm.
challenge here is dealing with Table Mountain, which I don't think is represented very accurately in this game.
No, I can't. There's a very. It's quite a small mountain in this game.
But statistically speaking, uh, all we have to do is just move relatively quickly, and we should be okay. Um, it's just, yeah. I mean, I think if I had to maybe spend some time thinking about it, sure, I could come up with a better route optimization. I think maybe this copper placement here is maybe a bit of a trap, because you could maybe make a bridge there. But we'll see.
So I have a question for you.
Yes.
The story of the Gordian knot.
Yeah.
What was the? Why did they need to like solve it? Because Alexander the Great solved it, right?
Yeah, yeah. The Gordian knot basically is one of those things that existed as a sort of a proof of your
Intelligent.
intelligence. Yeah, back in those days, they didn't have things like Mensa or degree
Reddit.
levels. Reddit.
They didn't have Reddit Gold back then, so
Yeah.
you couldn't show how smart you were to everyone.
Yeah, you couldn't be like, hey, thanks for the kind, gold, stranger, and then you're Alexander the Great. um, yeah. So
Oh boy. Okay, so why did he have to do it? Like, it wasn't impeding him, or did he just do it to like prove that he was real good?
Alexander's basic uh, raison d'etre is that he wanted to sort of prove that he was like a divine kind of ruler, right?
Okay.
Supposedly, according to the story, whoever could untie the Gordian knot would rule all of Asia, and Alexander wanted to rule all of Asia. So it's like,
Well, I
like,
mean, he didn't.
yeah.
And I can tell you why. It's because he didn't untie it.
Well,
He cut it in half.
the thing about the Gordian knot is it's meant to be a metaphor, right? It's meant to be a metaphor for untangling something that's complicated. Cutting through the difficulties of some particular aspect or problem, and then saying,
Well,
hey,
the moral of the story is sometimes the simplest solution is the best. But I mean, if we're talking about like a literal Gordian knot and whether it gives you divine right to rule all of Asia, Alexander truly got off on a technicality. And I feel like the universe knew that, and they were like, "Well, guess who's getting poisoned?
well,
Sorry, King."
he could have died of malaria, right? It's entirely possible that Alexander
That's a kind of poison.
simply just well,
That's a sort of bug poison.
well, yeah. I mean, in the next Dark Souls game, we're gonna have like malaria damage.
Malaria. Yeah, in Elden Ring 2, it's just gonna be a Far Cry 2.
Yeah, no. Elden Ring 2 is gonna start. You're gonna be a mercenary sent to Africa.
You're gonna be a mercenary in South Africa, and then you're gonna be sent there to kill some dude, and he's gonna be like, "Brave, tarnished. I see you didn't bring pills."
Yeah, I mean, this is obviously what Miyazaki is gonna do, right? There's no question about that.
Oh no, this Elden Ring will be designed by Kojima. Because that's the most Kojima shit I can think of. Is if it's amazing to me that they haven't like collaborated, because I feel like they would do really well together. Because Kojima, like Miyazaki, could come up with the names for things, and Kojima could supply the cocaine,
I
and then it would be good.
So my personal headcanon is that Kojima is the kind of guy where you have a too many cooks in the kitchen situation real quick, right?
Except
Like,
all the cooks are him.
well,
Every cook is him. You have too many Kojimas in the Hideo.
yeah, I think the problem is that I don't necessarily think that he works well with other people, right? I can't
Except
think
for
of
the people he like gets obsessed with, like Mads Mikkelsen.
no, but the thing is, Mads Mikkelsen is an actor, right? Mads Mikkelsen is not like an executive producer or a game designer. He's not being like, hey, I think this level needs more fine tuning, Kojima.
That's probably why Kojima gets along with him very well.
Yeah, I think when
He
it
doesn't
comes
say shit about my video
no,
games.
exactly. I think when it comes down to it, I think the thing that is the issue with Kojima is that he is fundamentally like he doesn't play well with others, and when he is allowed to have creative control over stuff, that's when he's at his finest. But also, like you have to be willing to deal with him, right?
Yeah, I imagine that there's not a lot of editing that goes on in Studio Kojima.
Yeah, I don't think there's too many second drafts, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, no, I've played a bit of Metal Gear Solid 5, and everyone was like, "Oh, it's so good! It's like the best one. You're gonna love it." I started playing it, and then a character named Ocelot, who I know of but have never interacted with in video games before, was like, "We're not just dogs, we're diamond dogs," and I was like, "This is bullshit."
Yeah, I feel like somebody should have.
Kojima, you fed me trash. You fed me like military fan fiction. is what you've done here. And then like the mist ninjas showed up, and I was like, what is this? What are we doing? You can't just add shit. That's the
Yeah.
thing. The game starts off with like oh, floating baby man on fire, and it's like, oh, so this is gonna be sort of a kind of like what's the word? Paranormal sort
Yeah.
of experience. But then it takes you into just pure military stuff for long enough for you to forget the paranormal stuff happened, and then it's like, oh, by the way, mist ninjas.
Yeah, this is gonna sound strange, especially coming from me. But I think Kojima is trapped between two kinds of people. The first type of person really wants to tell you like a million fun facts about the M1 Abrams tank. Like, he really just wants to tell you a million things about that tank. And the second guy watched Die Hard like 30 million times and thinks Bruce Willis is the coolest action hero ever, and it would be super cool if he could make a movie with Bruce Willis, but he doesn't make movies, he makes video games. So you end up with a guy whose name is Die Hardman.
Yeah. And look, we've said it before. We've said it like we've said it like 1,000 times before. We love Kojima here on this channel.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I think Hideo Kojima is an incredibly talented game designer, and I think the industry would be worse if he wasn't, around. Like, I think the video game landscape would genuinely be less creative, less interesting if Hideo
Yeah,
Kojima
especially
wasn't making
now.
games. Yeah, no, especially in this era of like corporate,
Homogenization.
uh, what does Yahtzee call it? He has a word for it.
Designed by committee?
Yeah, designed by committee, right? Everything has to. Nobody takes any creative ideas. I don't agree with all of Hideo Kojima's ideas. In fact, I think a lot of them are crazy, but he has them, right?
Yeah, like it's so clearly a person's idea.
Yeah, it's
Which is also, it's like this was brought up in a video in one, I don't remember whose video, but it was someone was talking about how in Undertale there's a scene in the like hotel where you can just go under the covers,
no, that
and
wasn't
there's
that Yahtzee?
nothing. That probably was, but like there's nothing to do there. You don't get anything, you don't find anything. It has no benefit or anything, but it's such a clear indicator that like one person made this.
Mm-hmm.
Because if there were two people, one of them would be like, "No, don't do that." And it's like it's really interesting just because you get to see a person's creative flow.
Yeah,
You get to see them how they make things.
I think that. So my own personal belief is that the world is a worse place if people are not allowed to make things that they want to make, right?
Hmm.
And that means that's a
Well,
double-edged sword, right? It's a double-edged
yeah.
sword because it means that on the one hand, you can get people coming up with truly innovative, truly creative, like groundbreaking things, right? But on the other hand, people will come up with garbage because they are people, and that's what people do, right?
Yeah.
So it
For every Shadow of the Colossus, we have like 5 I don't know, Assassin's Creed Valhallas.
yeah, it's people should be free to make things, but that's like you know, uh, it's a double-edged sword. But on the other hand, I kind of do wish maybe somebody would sit Kojima down and be like, "Hey, maybe we
Let's
should."
just like read the script
Yeah,
before we print it.
yeah. Let's just do one single solitary like proofreading double take here. Let's
Because
just
like maybe this man doesn't need 3 adjectives as his name.
yeah.
Maybe we can cut it down to 2.
Maybe Quiet should have pants.
Yeah, I mean, like, why does she need to breathe through her skin?
Yeah, it's
You can just say you're horny, dude.
yeah.
It's fine.
Look, fan service has existed in video games since video games have basically existed, right?
Yeah.
I really don't think as many people would have an issue with Quiet if they were just like, okay, well, yeah, she's gonna be a fan service character. Here she is in the realistic military outfit or whatever. But for some reason, occasionally the game will be like, okay, well, time for her to be in a maid outfit or whatever. And
Well,
that
it's
would've-
just like if the whole bikini thing was like an unlock, that you could get, it would be different because then some people would complain about it, but it would be like, it's whatever. It's just sort of that's the fan service outfit. Um, but I feel like it wouldn't be as big an issue as it is just her usual outfit now. Although, like on the other hand, right, it does kind of absolutely fit the aesthetic of Metal Gear Solid to have a character who's dressed like that.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the thing is, right? People have talked about Quiet's agency and this and that, but like the problem is it just stands out.
Yeah. Also, why are the all of the women in Metal Gear Solid like like mentally ill? Kojima's really just waiting for like a mean bisexual lady to be delivered to him.
Well, the thing is, right? Kojima seems to have a like I said, I think he has a hyper fixation with a lot of American media, right? And there are two archetypes that American women in movies from around the time that Kojima was watching movies are allowed to have. And one of them is like the stoic uh
Badass
what
action
is it called?
lady.
It's called Born Sexy Yesterday, right? That's what the trope is called. And basically, what it
Right.
means is that you have a character who embodies a lot of like traditionally masculine, cool ideas. So they are a fighter, or they are like really proficient in shooting or something, right? You've got a character like this, but they don't, and they're also very physically attractive. But on the other hand, they don't. They're not like aware of their sexuality or their attractiveness in a way that would give them agency, right? Quiet, the way that she looks is not for any real purpose other than fan service. But like she also kind of acts. She doesn't talk at all, so we don't actually get to hear what she thinks about any of the things. Like she
Yeah,
never
she's
has a
quiet.
yeah she never has a line where it's like, man, it really sucks that I have to wear this skimpy sniper outfit. It'd be really nice if I could wear some armor. And then
Yeah, it sucks that I have to dress like this in the middle of the desert. Like my skin is torn to shreds by sand.
yeah, it's that's basically the issue, right? Because because Bayonetta is the character that everybody contrasts Quiet with, because Bayonetta is completely aware of the fact that she's very pretty. Um, but
Yeah, but
unlike
she's also like it's weird. Bandit is kind of a weird one because she's also every single fetish.
Yeah, but she's every single fetish in the same way that I guess a dominatrix can embody every single fetish. Like she does it because she wants to, not because she has, not because somebody else is making her do it. I guess is what I would
Well, I
say.
mean, but like on the other hand, right? She was written to be like that. So it gets to a point where I don't know. It depends. I have no problem with Bayonetta, but then again, I'm a man, and so it's not the kind of representation that would really affect me.
Mm-hmm.
I just wonder if I was a woman with the same sensibilities that I have now, right? If I
Yeah.
looked at Bayonetta, would that make me think like, oh, she's cool and in agent and like fully has agency and is capable and all of that, or would I think this is purely so that someone somewhere can jerk off to it and then justify it afterwards by saying that she's
Yeah, I see what you're
kick
saying.
ass?
I
Like,
think.
no, she's a complex character. She's three different kinds of witch, and she fights angels and
I'm
shit.
just,
I don't know. She
I'm
has
just,
guns on her shoes.
I'm just like, I'm thinking like trying to explain the lore of Bayonetta to like a Christian priest.
Dude, I own Bayonetta, and I haven't yet played it because it looks like a fun game, but every time I hear someone talk about it, my brain just like can't process what they're saying to me. It's the same with like Devil May Cry and what was it? What's that series where you play as War?
Darksiders.
Darksiders, yeah. Devil May Cry and Darksiders where they obviously can't actually say like, oh, you're fighting for the forces of Jeezy Creasy, the big man upstairs.
Yeah.
They have to be like, oh no, it's the creator and stuff like that. And I hear it, and then they introduce all of these like different things of laws, like, um, the sages have developed a world-killing weapon that will destroy the demons, but make sure that you fight the archons as well. And it's like, stop. Just this is not that kind of game.
Yeah.
Okay, it doesn't need to be this complicated.
Yeah.
Literally point me at something and say bad, and then I will fight it. Like that's all it has to be.
Yeah, it's always struck me as kind of odd that there is a lot of like we don't think about Christian mythology as like a real mythology. You know what I mean? Like, we don't think about
Because people
Christianity.
still believe it.
Because obviously people still believe it, but we don't think about Christianity as a like having lore in the same way that like other religions have lore. Like you
Yeah,
use
but
Persian.
it really, rarely does. There's literally a demon in Christianity who's like 1,000 demons,
Yeah, I mean you
and that's his whole thing.
it's like I think about Persian mythology, right? Because I love Persian mythology. I think it's pretty cool. I've always been a fan of like Persian mythology because if you like ancient history, Persia is very important. But people obviously treat Persian mythology as set dressing, right? Because there are very few Zoroastrianisms. Although I did actually at one point talk to a girl online who claimed to be a devout Zoroastrian.
Oh God.
That was
That's like when you meet people who like I pray to Odin every day, and it's like, good for you. I like to talk to Goku sometimes, man. It's the same thing. You're believing in a story.
Yeah, very little differentiates, shall we say, Jesus Christ and Odin necessarily.
Oh no, I would say quite a bit. I think Jesus has more super. Actually, wait, does which one of them do you think is more powerful?
Odin, I think.
I don't know, because Odin knows like a lot of spells, but and he has a spear that can never miss and is always it can
Look,
kill any. Well, and Jesus was killed by a spear.
Look, Odin's got a very powerful high int build.
Yeah, Odin's a magic build, and Jesus is a faith build.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm just thinking like if the two of them had to 1v1 each other in Dark Souls,
How much prep time do they get?
prep time.
What's the arena like?
Okay, so here's
Look, if we're fighting on water, it's over because like JC can just run that.
let's see. I think this is actually a very tough. We'll have to involve like philosophical debates here because I don't know.
I don't.
Like,
I wasn't expecting this to be a full conversation. I was making a joke.
Well, the thing is, Callum, the thing about our streams is that viewers, I kid you not, we were preparing to talk about the video game awards.
Yeah. And now we're here.
No, I think okay, so the thing is, right, people have debated the level of spiritual power possessed by our boy Jeezy Creasy. But the problem is, it's very hard to say because we don't really know to what degree Jesus Christ had like
We've never seen this power level.
Yeah, we a lot of people debate about exactly what Jesus actually is, right? In terms of like what is he actually physically? Was he just a person? Was he just a guy who
Well, okay, let's settle that because I think that we can say that he's a demigod.
Demigod.
Yeah, because he has a human mother. He was born from a human mother. He has a physical body. So I think he would have like he would probably be able to overcome the physical limitations of his body, but he did die.
But he was brought back to life.
Yeah, but that could have like that then at that point I think once he is outside of his physical body, he has a different set of powers.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the question is like,
That's when he's punished Jesus.
yeah, I was gonna say it's like I guess the question that we have to ask ourselves here is 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 the are we is Jesus Christ actually a person with separate powers and separate abilities, or is he just an extension of the Creator God who is theoretically infinitely powerful? Because
Well, I mean, Jesus had to do like a lot of shit on his own. So I feel like he could maybe invoke God's power. But I don't know that he necessarily had too much power of his own before he died. I think the real question is, are we talking about before or after he died? Because
mm,
after he died, he ascended.
all right, so
And I think that's the equivalent of like when Buddha achieved enlightenment.
so let's look at it this way, right? Let's say that Odin is busy.
We also don't have a good idea of Odin's powers, just to be fair.
Yeah, so let's say that Odin is busy doing, Odin stuff.
Yeah, he's tricking people, he's making deals, he's screwing giants out of building contracts.
Yeah, so Odin's doing Odin stuff, right? Oh my goodness, I might actually win this level by a couple of seconds.
And
Go train.
all
Go.
we had to do was talk about like Odin v Jesus. The
Five
people
seconds.
versus Odin v
Yeah,
Jesus.
4, 3, 2. God damn it! I was once
Oh
two
no.
seconds, 2 seconds out.
Oh
Ah
dang.
man, I actually really like this level. I feel like the Cape Town level is just compared to the previous level, it's like a breath of fresh air.
Hmm.
But I mean, do you want to talk about the Game Awards? Because on the one hand, I
Yeah,
feel
but
like we should talk about the Game Awards, but on the other
I
hand,
mean
I
we
feel
still have
like
like half the stream left.
yeah, sure. So to answer the question, I feel like for me, it comes down to the fact that I think that Odin would be pretty impressed to hear that Jesus Christ died and then came back, and he'd want to know how he did it.
Well, no,
And
Odin did that as well.
yeah, but Odin is like an internally curious fellow, right?
Yeah,
Uh,
but Odin's already done that. He's already died and come back.
yeah, but hmm.
Yeah, he hung himself from the branches of Yggdrasil to see what death was like. And then he came back to life.
Yeah, I
And
suppose
he
that's
was like,
true.
I learned that. I know, well, I did that one.
Hmm. Okay, then maybe I guess Odin would think he doesn't really have that many powers because
Yeah, I feel
uh
like they wouldn't fight.
yeah,
Odin's not really. Odin likes a good fight, don't get me wrong. All of the Norse gods do. But, like, I feel like Odin also tries to solve problems mostly through tricking things.
yeah, just if I think about like the
The question
times.
is, how easy is Jesus to trick?
Ooh,
I feel like not easy at all because the devil tried for a long time and it didn't work.
yeah, yeah. I mean, the
And
devil.
he's good at that. That's like his main. That's what he invested all of his points into.
Yeah,
He's
I
a
mean,
charisma
the
build.
charisma build for sure. Yeah. I mean, also like, what would Odin try to trick Jesus into doing? Right? Like,
Leaving.
and doing what? Like, filling
I
in
imagine just
Valhalla?
no. I imagine just like leaving the Nordic region, which didn't work because they became heavily Christianized.
No, yeah. I mean, like,
So
realistically.
actually, no, we do have an answer to this question, which is that Jesus won because the Nordic region became heavily Christianized.
Yeah, I mean, I've been listening to a podcast about the history of the Crusades, right? Um,
Hmm.
and part of understanding the Crusades is understanding the thing called the Northern Crusades, which were basically a series of long-standing crusades, actually almost as long as the Crusades in the Middle East. Mostly because a lot of Germans were like, I don't really want to travel to where it's hot in the Middle East. Let me crusade somewhere where it's colder.
We're gonna crusade. We have crusades at home.
Yeah, yeah. It was like I don't really want to go to the Middle East. That's gonna be hot, and I'm German and I burn easily.
Yeah.
um.
Oh. Whew.
So
Oh, but I did want to actually tell you, like, an interesting. Do you know the story of Journey to the West? Just while we're talking about all this.
yeah, yeah. I roughly know. It's the Chinese mythology with the Monkey King, right?
Yeah, and Sung Wukong got immortal like 5 times.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
He has quintuple immortality.
It's basically the story of Goku, right?
Well, no, it's what Goku
Goku
was
was
based
based
off
on.
of.
Yeah.
Yeah. But one of the best parts of the story of Journey to the West is Sun Wukong is actually punished because he breaks into heaven, which is where he gets immortality like 3, 4, and 5.
Mm-hmm.
And he can't be stopped because he's too powerful. He's quintuple immortal. The like 10,000 gods that live in heaven can't stop him. And then Lao Tzu, I think, goes and gets Buddha, and Buddha's like, "Hey, I'll make a deal with you. If you can jump out of my palm, then you can do whatever you want. At any time, we won't even try and stop you. But if not, we will like trap you because Sun Wukong is fighting like a war god or something,
That's
and the
true.
war, yeah, and I don't like they're kind of evenly matched. And then the Monkey King's just sort of like, yeah, sure, I can jump out of your palm, and he just jumps as far as he can, and he lands on a mountain at the edge of the universe, and he's like, hell yeah.
What?
And then he looks down and he sees that because Buddha is enlightened, the universe is in his palm.
Mm-hmm.
So he didn't jump onto a mountain, he jumped onto Buddha's finger. And it's like, oh fuck, I didn't jump out of your hand. So they dropped a mountain on him.
Man,
And that's kind of like the beginning of the story.
mythology is crazy.
Yeah, it's great. Like Journey to the West is crazy and I love it.
Yeah.
Anyway, video game awards.
Right. So, Callum, are there any awards that you particularly care about? I'm just gonna
I
go
didn't
through.
I
I'm
don't
gonna
know any of
I'm gonna
them.
go through the different categories. Well, not all of them because there's like a bunch. Game of the
Yeah,
year, best
yeah.
narrative, because
Okay.
I don't care so much about game direction because that's
It's not something I would be able to like give a judgment on.
I'm gonna say score and music. That could be interesting.
Yeah, that's fun.
Uh, Innovation in accessibility. I think accessibility in video games is very important.
Okay.
But who won that one is actually kind of surprising. Then we have
I can't wait to
games
tell you that I don't know any of the games in these categories.
best independent game and best debut independent game. Which I don't know what exactly the difference. So the best independent game is the best independent game, but
Well, the best debut would be like this is the first game this company has ever made.
yeah, it's gonna be the new. It's gonna be a new studio. So you're gonna be in a
Yeah,
new
so
studio.
it has to be new studios only.
Yeah, new studios only. Um, Best RPG because that's something that you might care about.
Yeah.
And for me, I'm gonna look at the best sim strategy game. I kind of hate that that strategy games have fallen so far that now we have to share a category with sims.
I mean, to be fair, I've seen a lot more Sims these days than I've seen strategy games.
I know. The genre is in danger.
Dying.
Yeah. Um.
All right,
Okay.
so let's get started.
Okay. Wait.
I know game of the
Oh,
year.
okay.
I
Wait.
know who won that.
There is one I want to include because I think we have to sort of argue about whether or not this should be a category, but it's most anticipated game, right?
Ooh. Gross.
Yeah. Okay. So first things first. The game of the year that we've got is Astro. The nominees were Astrobot, Balatro, Black with Wukong, Elden Ring: Shadow of the Erdtree, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and Metaphor ReFantazio.
Okay, so Final Fantasy VII and Shadow of the Erdtree shouldn't be there.
Why not?
Shadow of the Erdtree is a DLC, and Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is a remake.
Okay.
I've seen people come up like express this opinion before, but I agree with them. I think there should be a separate category for like best DLC and best remake, reimagining, remaster.
I think
I
I
don't
would
mind if
agree.
there's I don't mind if there's an extra category. Just like don't best game should be about the game. The base game, it doesn't matter. Like that's it.
Okay, I agree with you. I think it is a little bit wacky that you know Elden Ring is on here when it is a DLC and it's competing against games that had to. I don't like Astrobot winning just because for me it just sends such a wrong message, right? Because it's Sony saying, "Hey, listen, we have all these IPs. Aren't they cool? We're not going to make any games for them. Sucks to suck, I guess, but our game is cool."
Well, okay, no, but they did make some games already. Like they, when you go God of Warland, right? They made those games.
Yeah, they did,
Like,
but I mean, there's a lot. There's Jack and Daxter, which I'm particularly, I'd like to see more of those types of games. Get my
you
meaning?
mean like mascot collectathons? I mean,
Yeah,
let's not mince words here. That's what Jack and Daxter was. It was a fun game with an interesting story and a great world. I love Jack and Daxter, but it was a collectathon game.
yeah. I mean, I'm not arguing that they were particularly innovative. I just want to see more games from that world, right? It's the story that I care about, not so much the mechanics.
Yeah, I feel like also at a certain point, people keep complaining about, oh, we have so many franchises and stuff. Assassin's Creed sucks now. Why wouldn't they just let it end and things? And then people see a game franchise that they haven't seen for a while that ended a while ago, and it's like, why wouldn't they bring this back? And it's like, you can't have it both ways. If they bring back Jack and Daxter, there's all the chance in the world that Jack and Daxter sucks now because they have nothing left to do with it.
Yeah, I guess people don't really know what they want. But moving on. So, we're gonna look at best narrative. Now on the list.
Well, I think Astro Boy should have won. I'm glad that it won.
Okay,
I don't know any of the other
let me
games.
put it this way. I'm not necessarily upset that it won because from everything that people have said to me, it does actually sound like a fun game. But I don't know. I don't necessarily have a very high opinion of Sony. It's sort of the issue. And
I agree that Astrobot was like Sony waving its bibliography all over the place, but it looks like a very fun game. It has very impressive technology behind it. It's visually astounding, and it amazes me that every unique level, like every IP level, creates a different set of gameplay
yeah, I
where
guess
you
that's
mimic the gameplay of that game, but also Astro Boy has its own gameplay, or Astrobot has its own gameplay to fall back on. So you almost get like two sets of gameplay out of it, and I think that that's cool.
okay. All right. Yeah, I'm gonna agree with you. I think maybe my discontent is more at Sony than Astrobot. And if Astrobot had been produced by another company somehow, I
Another company that would be sued into the
oh
earth
yeah,
now.
yeah, they produced
That
one
would have been
game,
deleted.
and then a Sony hit squad burst into their offices and shot all of them.
Would have been strategically carpet bombed by the Sony satellites.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so best narrative game. Now, you and I have strong opinions about what stories should be in video games.
Uh-huh.
So the nominees for this award are Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, Metaphor ReFantazio, Senua's Saga Hellblade 2, and Silent Hill 2. And the
Should we
winner.
guess?
Who,
Should
who
we
do you,
guess?
Who do you think won?
I think. Whew, I want Yakuza Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth to have won. But I think Senua Hellblade 2 won.
Wrong you are, sir. The winner is Metaphor ReFantazio 0. ReFantazio.
I've heard good things about it. I've never played it.
I I don't know. I'm at that age where I see a game comes out and I see it win all these awards, and I'm like, okay, what's going on here? And then yeah, I don't know. Like
From what I've heard from like people who, streamers and stuff like that who've played it, they really enjoy it. So I'm assuming
I just
it has a good story.
I can't figure out what kind of game it is just by listening to the name.
What's the
Or
name again?
Metaphor ReFantazio.
For ReFantazio. I've seen it advertised everywhere. Give me images. Show me the game. Oh, it's like a Persona. Yeah, I think this is like a Persona game, sort of.
Oh, okay. Well, then that would make sense, right? Because the Persona games generally they're held at a fairly high
Well, it's
standard of.
I don't know that it's actually made by um what's it what's that company? Atlas. It is made by Atlas.
Wait, is this not just another Persona game?
No, I think it's a different series, but it's a similar sort of gameplay. So
Okay.
it has that same sort of gameplay of like you get into turn-based combat
You're a kid in
and
high
you
school fighting
no,
God, I
no, you're in
guess.
a fantasy land.
Oh, okay. You're a kid in fantasy high school.
You're fully in a fantasy
Okay.
land and you are you like make friends, you upgrade your social skills, you do fights and stuff. And it looks fun. It looks cool and we already know from Persona 5 that Atlas can do a good story. So yeah. They excel at character writing.
Okay. Okay. That's fair, right? I think that's more than fair. Because just because those types of games are not my types of games doesn't mean that the story is bad, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so best. Okay, well, let's talk about innovation and accessibility. So I'm just going to quote you what it says that this is for: recognizing software and hardware that is pushing the medium forward by adding features, technology, and content to help games be played and enjoyed by a wider audience.
That's good.
I think that's a
That's
very
a
noble goal. Um,
worthwhile section to have in this.
so the people who are being nominated are Diablo 4, Call of Duty Black Ops 6, Dragon Age Veilguard, Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown, and Star Wars Outlaws.
Does it say why they're being nominated?
No, it doesn't.
Okay, so I genuinely have no idea. I'm gonna say I don't know. I'll say Veilguard.
Wrong. It was Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown.
Okay, why?
I have no idea.
But okay, good. This was a productive discussion.
Listen,
I haven't played I don't think I've ever played a Prince of Persia game all the way through.
I have played the first one and I actually enjoyed it, but full disclosure, I did play it with a walkthrough.
Yeah,
Um,
but like old games like that, I feel like first of all, anyone who gets mad at you for playing with a walkthrough can fuck clean off. I can play games however I want, and I have a life. Like I don't have time to scour every inch of this 19-year-old game to find all of the Minotaur horns so that I
I
have a chance in the next fight or whatever.
I
Like just
do I
shut
do
up.
I do genuinely think the game is fairly well designed, but the problem is, even though it still is, it's still a relic of the 90s, right? Still
Yeah.
a game from its era, which means that it still inherits, no matter how well designed it is, it still inherits issues.
Well,
Um,
I think one of the big issues that no one really considers with these older games is that if you didn't grow up playing it and you aren't used to that style of game, in terms of like aesthetics, then it gets very confusing. There are so many old games I've played where I haven't been able to tell which is the way forward and which is just like a random alley or something, just because the games I used to play when I was a kid didn't look like this.
mhm. Yeah, that makes
So
sense.
you have to learn a new visual language basically with the level design.
Yeah, yeah,
Also, those games are padded to hell. I played the first God of War game almost all the way through. I've almost beaten it. Um, and there are sections where you have to like climb across walls, and dead Athenian soldiers will attack you, and they do it like 5 times more necessary than it should be. Like I've already proved that I can do this. Just stop.
yeah, I get that. I think maybe if I had to hazard a guess as to why Prince of Persia managed to win, it's possibly because it's a roguelike game where you can customize elements of the roguelike. So
So
you
it's a
can,
roguelite.
yeah, it's a roguelike. So you can specify, like, you can tweak the difficulty in a bunch of ways.
Yeah, so it's a roguelite.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's a roguelike.
That's what the genre is called. Why are you laughing? That's what the genre is called.
No. It's Oh wait, shoot. Hang on. There's
Haha, hoisted by your own petard, idiot. You made fun of me, thinking I was mispronouncing roguelike, and
no,
now you've been
no,
out-trained.
I wasn't making fun of you. I was focusing on the game, and I misheard what you said, right? Because In case you look, you don't have to play the
Oh,
game.
how we backtrack.
You don't have to actually play this game.
Oh no. Welcome to my world. Anyway, what's the next category?
The next category is, what did I say?
I
Best
remember.
indie
I'm
game.
amazed that before we get to it, I'm amazed that Veilguard got nominated because I heard a bunch of people say that it wasn't good.
I
I've also heard a bunch of people saying like it starts bad and then it gets good later.
I've heard a lot of people say that it's not very good. I know one person who likes it, but I don't know. It just
I've seen the intro to the story, and do you remember that guy from Dragon Age Inquisition, the elf dude? Solus?
Solus, yeah.
Yeah, he did a thing that like banished the elven gods and it fucked everything up. And then in the beginning of Veilguard, he's like, it's like now Solus is trying to undo that thing he did.
Yeah.
And it's like, bro, just make up your mind about this.
Yeah, I'm not gonna
Stop. Just
I'm not gonna,
Solus, sit down.
yeah, I'm not gonna say that I think that Veilguard is maybe the best game. For me, the best game in the series will always be Dragon Age 1.
Nope. For me, it's Dragon Age 2.
Well, I think it's a matter of personal preference in that case. But anyway,
I like Dragon Age 2's story more. I think it was a more interesting story. Dragon Age 1 kind of bored me, to be honest.
I can see why. I don't necessarily agree, but I can see why. So, the next game is best indie game. So we've got Animal Well, Balatro, Lorelei and the Laser Eyes, which is a very cool name.
Yeah.
Eva and UFO 50.
Have you played any of these?
I have not.
Because I haven't.
I have not played any of these.
This is why we didn't make a video about like commenting on the video game awards, because I haven't played any of these. I've seen some of them advertised, like Balatro and Lorelei and the Laser
Animal
Eyes.
Well
I've seen those advertised,
Animal Well
but
was
I've never played
published
them.
by the game company that Video Game Donkey owns.
Oh.
Big Mode, that's the one.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
I would say a good thing. I mean, he's committed to making...
Is he cool?
Yeah, I think he's cool. But yeah, I don't play these games. We don't play that many games.
Okay, I've just Googled it. Developed, yeah. The player controls a blob and explores a labyrinth filled with animals. This game was that's it. And then it just tells you what platforms it's on. It released to critical acclaim, apparently.
Yeah, I mean...
It's a Metroidvania puzzle video game action adventure.
Yeah, okay, that sounds like a game that Video Game Donkey would...
Yeah, and then the other one was Balatro. I'm Googling. We're Googling.
Game, I think.
Oh yeah, I've seen this. Okay, so it's a poker themed roguelike deck building game.
Well, I mean,
That's awesome.
Listen, Slay the Spire already exists, and I know they're making Slay the Spire 2. So if you're trying to make any kind of card building game that's a roguelike, you've really gotta...
I mean, Slay the Spire is a recommended search for this, but I mean, I've heard people say that this is a really fun game because you get like special jokers that change how it's played.
Yeah, I mean, I don't... It won, right? It won the best indie game. And
spoilers.
Just to, like, it was also nominated in Best Debut Indie Game. So, like, people liked it for obvious reasons. I don't think it was ever going to beat, any of the AAA games. But, yeah, it was there. And I think the developers
This is a big year for puzzle games.
I think the children
like
learn
Lorelei,
from the and people
Lorelei
game
and
for
the
puzzle
Laser
games.
Eyes is also a puzzle game.
So, the Best Debut Indie Game is actually fairly similar because we've also got Animal Well, Balatro, and then 3 other games. Manor Lords, which I know about but haven't played. Pacific Drive, I know about but I haven't played. And The Plucky Squire, which I know about but haven't played.
I think it's Pacific Drive.
It's Balatro.
Fuck. Did Balatro win both?
Yeah, they've won both.
Damn. Good for you.
Yeah, they cleaned up. They have a...
Why does it feel like every new indie game I see is a puzzle game?
I think it's because, ultimately at the end of the day, puzzle games are the best games for indie games because a puzzle can be anything, right?
Yeah, I guess so.
Like, there's no limit to what a puzzle game can be. And so, like, you're not gonna... No random guy is gonna make the next Call of Duty. But you can make the next Undertale. You can make the next Hi-Fi Rush, right? Was also a card-based
No,
game,
Hi-Fi Rush was a rhythm game.
rhythm game. Oh, no, yeah, you're right. You're right. It was a
Also,
rhythm
it
game,
was published by Bethesda.
but it was a puzzle game as well, wasn't it? Wasn't
No,
it? Okay,
I don't
no,
think so.
wasn't it? I
Yeah,
okay,
I'm
no,
pretty
no.
sure it wasn't.
Okay, no, I'm getting my wires crossed. But anyway, so yeah, I mean, puzzle games make sense for a lot of context. I kind of wish that more people would make. Way back when in like the early 2000s, like I'm gonna say like 2005, there was a wave of games that were like puzzle RPGs, where they would take puzzle game mechanics, usually match three, and combine it with like an RPG game, or something like
What?
that. Yeah, yeah. I'm thinking potentially about making a video about them because they are.
I don't know what you're talking about at all. In like 2005.
Yeah.
2005 to me was the movie tie-in game.
Well, look,
It
I'm
was
not gonna.
that era.
This was not like a mainstream thing. Okay, well, this was 2007, but in the strategy community, that was a thing
Oh, okay.
that was going. No, yeah, sure. In the mainstream community, sure. 2005 is definitely the year of the, because wasn't that like the Spider-Man games on like PlayStation 2?
Well, the Spider-Man games, the Kung Fu Panda game, all of that. I mean, believe it or not, Emilio, I wasn't a huge member of the strategy games community when I was 8.
Listen, I had very, very strong memories of playing strategy games when I was a kid, and if that doesn't explain everything about me,
Yeah.
yeah,
It really does. I remember playing like Age of Empires and Age of Mythology and stuff, but never for very long. I
I
never owned it.
I'm such a big strategy game fan that I have made a tabletop version of Age of Empires. Like,
You nerd.
yeah,
My house was a PlayStation house. We didn't have a gaming computer. The only
really.
computer we had, we had really old computers for the most part.
Hmm.
And I like the only reason I ever had a computer was because it was my dad's old one and he gave it to me.
Hmm.
But like the only computers we had were like so that my dad could work. If we wanted to
Ah,
play games, we played on the PlayStation.
yeah. You see, I had access to laptops. I didn't actually have access to
Ah,
a gaming computer, so my ability to play stuff was always limited. But anyway, so let's talk about best RPG. We've got Dragon's Dogma 2, Elden Ring: Shadow of the Erdtree, Final
mm-hmm.
Fantasy 8, 7 Rebirth, Like a Dragon:
Mm-hmm.
Infinite Wealth, and Metaphor ReFantazio.
Okay, so I'm gonna. To be honest, I think it's metaphor again,
It
but it's
is.
probably hey, hell
It
yeah,
is.
finally.
It
I mean,
is.
Dragon's Dogma 2 is so I've been playing a lot of Dragon's Dogma 1
Yeah.
because I keep hearing about it and I keep like it keeps being advertised to me in such a way that it makes me feel like I would be into it. But
But
I just sort of never really got very far.
yeah, that
Yeah.
makes sense.
I didn't dislike it or anything. I just sort of never really got far enough. And maybe it's one of those games that you need to sort of get a bit further into before all of the features get unlocked.
Yeah.
And it really like clicks for you.
Yeah, I think that makes perfect sense to me.
But yeah, so I've been trying it. I have no opinion on Dragon Age 2, on Dragon's Dogma 2. Shadow of the Erdtree is great. I don't think it should be nominated for a game award.
Yeah, it's a DLC.
Yeah.
So it just
Uh,
doesn't seem right.
It doesn't seem fair because we already know that Elden Ring is fantastic. It already won a game award.
Yeah.
We already know that Final Fantasy VII is fantastic. It is a class. It's literally touted as one of the best games ever made.
Hmm.
It had
Yeah.
the highest score on Metacritic for like decades for a while. No, it didn't. That was Ocarina of Time, but it had one of the highest scores.
Yeah.
Anyway, Final Fantasy VII is a classic and everyone knows it's a classic. It doesn't need to be awarded that again.
Yeah. Yeah. I think we're definitely tooting up somebody's there. Well, that's the wrong expression. They're definitely
Choosing up.
they're
We're
definitely
chewing up.
they're giving them more praise than I think they deserve. Not
I
that
don't know. Look, I don't know. I haven't played the remakes. I've heard that they did some like interesting things with them and that they're still good. That's fine. Like if they're trying new stuff with the remakes, if they're really like trying to put in quality of life or whatever, that's great. I love it. You don't give a remake the same award that you gave the original. If the original has already received accolades for this,
Yeah.
it doesn't get to do that again. It should be like presidencies. You don't get to run for a third term. You
Yeah.
know, you get like one shot at getting that. Well, no. Look, if an old game got like the equivalent of a Razzie, where it's like everyone hated it, and then they remade it and they fixed it up a bit, and it's good now, and things like that, then nominated for an award. Great, that's perfect. We all love a redemption story. Final Fantasy VII doesn't need to be redeemed. It was
Yeah, it was
already
already
good.
good. Yeah. Okay, so moving on to the best sim strategy game. Age of Mythology Retold, a remake.
Ooh,
Frostpunk 2. Kunitsugami, Path of the Goddess. Mana Lords, and Unicorn Overlords.
which one was your favorite?
Of the list, I would say that I'm most excited to play Mana Lords because that actually seems like a real innovation in the strategy genre. But
Who won?
Frostpunk 2.
And what's your opinion on that?
I thought the first Frostpunk was good, but it didn't really capture me, right? Because the thing about Frostpunk is it leans very heavily into making you feel bad for forcing the kids into the mines. But I'm like, okay, game, you've given me two options: one where the children starve, and one where I put them to work, and you're gonna make me feel bad for either option.
Yeah, like it's at a certain point you can't call me an asshole when you've given me two bad choices.
Yeah, I just maybe they
Although
would.
I suppose that's a great metaphor for leadership, isn't it?
No, it's the point of the game. But the thing is, I don't like to play games like that, right? Which is why, even though I think that the first, like the not the first, but like the Spec Ops: The Line game was important story wise and stuff like that, I don't think it was necessarily a fun experience to play, right?
So okay, do you think that there is such a thing as like a critics game? So like a
Yeah,
game
for
that
sure.
so do you think that Frostpunk 2 and like Spec Ops: The Line fall into that category of like this is sort of for critics? This is for
Uh,
reviewers.
no,
This is
I
for
wouldn't say that because I think it's a difficult enough game that the average reviewer is actually. Let's say you have a week to turn in your review. You're not really going to be able to play that much of the game unless you're a real expert at the game. So it is for a specific audience, but in the
But what
same
I
way
mean
that
is like is
Factorio is.
this for the kinds of people that would be playing these games enough that they would like get bored of the usual way it's going and
Yeah,
they would
yeah.
like the difference
Yeah.
would be enough.
Frostpunk is for somebody who's bored of playing Banished. They were, they're like, well, not enough people are dying because of the winter in Puritan.
I haven't questioned my morality enough.
Yeah. I don't think it's bad. I'm here playing Train Valley 2, right? I don't
So
have
when
a.
is this getting nominated?
I
When
don't
was this
have.
released?
I don't have a leg to stand on, but it's just I think Mana Lord actually, really, genuinely, is trying to innovate the RTS genre, and that is saying something, right? In terms of how they do unit like attacks and things like that. In terms of the level of fidelity of medieval simulation, I think that Mana Lords is actually trying to do something different, whereas Frostpunk 2 is basically just Frostpunk 1 with some improvements. Um, it's not a
Yeah,
fundamental shakeup of the formula, right? And Age of
yeah,
Mythology shouldn't be on here because it's a remake of a game that was already good.
yeah, very true. I would play Age of Mythology retold though.
Like, look, I don't think it's bad. I think it's great that they updated the graphics, they made it run on modern systems, etc., etc. But I don't think that remakes should be in the same category as original games,
Yeah,
right? It's just,
remakes and DLCs need their own category.
yeah, it just has to, and there's enough of them now that, like, honestly, maybe you could even do a separate game awards.
I don't think we need one of those. I think fewer award shows would be ideal for me.
Yeah, sure. Okay,
But like
let's
if you
let's
yeah,
get
if you
to
want to have
the.
a separate category
Yeah,
for them.
no, I agree. Let's get to the last thing on today, and then we probably should end the stream.
The
So
stream is like, yeah, it's almost an hour and 10 minutes.
I this is a category that I don't think should exist. It's called most anticipated game. And here's the thing: none of these games are out, and probably won't be out for a fairly long time, right? So
Hmm.
we have
Tell me the
Death
games.
Stranding 2 on the beach,
Oof. On the
Ghost of
beach. Is
on
that
the
wait, no, wait. Is on the beach its subtitle?
yes,
Why?
because the beach is the metaphor for the in point, midpoint between life and death, Callum.
Is the beach?
Yeah, that's what the
That's
beach
not what
is.
I've ever thought when I've gone to the beach in my life. Is like, well, I'm truly at
Yeah,
the midpoint
no, but
between
like,
life and death.
because that's what that means in the context of the game, right? The beach is the purgatory.
You know what? To be fair, I don't think I gave Death Stranding enough of a chance. I should go back and play it again one day.
Listen, it's called Death Stranding 2 on the beach, and only Hideo Kojima would be brave enough to call his game Death Stranding 2 on the beach.
I love that. Yeah. Okay. Well, what's the next one?
Ghost of Yotai, which is the sequel to Ghost of Tsushima.
I've heard. So I saw Ghost of Tsushima was on sale, like the director's a cut version of it or something. And I asked a friend of mine to like, hey, can you sell me this game? Like, would it be a bargain to get it while it's like half off or something? And he's like, I enjoyed it while I played it, but it's not even in my top 20 anymore. Like, it's just
Yeah, it's
gone from
a
my
it's a
memory.
it's an open world stealth action game. I think it's done fairly well, but it's not something that I'm rushing to play.
Yeah, it's just like the only difference between this and I don't know all the other ones is you're a samurai in this one, and that's not enough anymore.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, and then the next one.
Next one is Grand Theft Auto 6.
Uh, Speaking of not enough anymore.
Yeah. Yeah,
Although I do like this one simply because it really pissed off a lot of misogynists
look, I don't
because you
think
play as a lady. You
well,
play as
yeah.
a lady
Well,
criminal in this one, and
yeah,
ladies
you
can't be
you
criminals.
have I think you have two characters that you can play with who are a couple, right? They're like a Bonnie and Clyde kind of dealio.
And
Um,
people are still mad that
yeah,
half of the characters you play as are women.
yeah, I don't know. I think, it'll come out, maybe it'll probably be good. It's hard to say.
It's a Grand Theft Auto game. It'll come out and then it'll probably run like shit on computers, and Rockstar will never address it, and it'll be fine. It'll be a Grand Theft Auto game. They're like truly playing Grand Theft Auto is like eating very spicy like popcorn or nachos or something. It's great in the moment, and then afterwards you'll never think about it.
Yeah.
I've never played a Grand Theft Auto game where I was like, I really have to get to the next part of the story. I need to know what happens. It's always just like I'll do it because I'm tired of shooting pedestrians.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it. That's like Grand Theft Auto is fine. It's okay, and it'll always be okay because it's a good formula that's been done to death. What's the next game?
Yeah. Next game is Metroid Prime 4 Beyond.
I don't really have an opinion on Metroid. I haven't played it.
I I think that
I've heard it's fun.
everybody's very happy. Well, everybody likes the Metroid Prime saga. Like,
Prime series.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's generally well regarded.
I remember Metroid
Maybe,
Dread was very well
yeah,
received.
maybe it'll be good. I think the recent Metroid games certainly look fun. I yeah, I
And we love Metroidvanias. I think
yeah,
Metroidvania is a like it's always going to be a genre that I enjoy.
I think I have the problem is I have like very limited time, so I play like one Metroidvania a year, and every year I'm hoping that it's gonna be Silksong, but
Yeah. I
it's
don't know. It's just like I look at Metroid and I go like, yeah,
yeah,
it looks cool, but
yeah,
it's going to be like 1,500 rand
yeah,
on the Switch, and I don't know that I'm going to be playing it that much.
yeah,
I'm not so excited for this that I would dish out like nearly 2 grand for it. And unfortunately, Switch games are crazy expensive.
Yeah, that's true as well.
I don't even know why they're so expensive in this country anymore. Because it's digital.
Yeah,
It's
that's true.
we're not like paying for import.
No. Okay, final game is Monster Hunter Wilds.
I have been playing so Monster Hunter is a game that I like to play with the sound off, and then while I'm listening to a podcast. And it's a very fun, like, meditative experience. But also it's a game that, like, if I leave it alone too long without playing it, I don't think about it at all. Wilds looks fun. I like a desert environment. I think it's very cool that they're adding new monsters and everything. It looks interesting and fun. I don't know that it's gonna be my top priority.
I I don't think this category should exist for one reason and one reason alone. You don't know that the game is actually going to do anything, right? This is just giving out an award for the sake of, let's be honest, gratifying some egos, right? Because these games, who knows if they're even going to be that good? Who knows when they're even going to come out, right?
Well,
Hideo
this is just
Kojima,
advertising.
yeah, this is just advertising. Hideo Kojima does not need more advertising for his Death Stranding game, right?
Yeah,
Grand
when
Theft
I
Auto
was on
6 does not need more advertising, because
the misogynists are doing that. Come on, guys.
yeah, I
I
just
when I still had a Twitter account, I followed Hideo Kojima's Twitter because obviously
yeah,
that man has some of the best tweets in the world. And like I would get like 5 posts in a row about Death Stranding 2, and I've been getting those for like over a year. That man has been advertising that game to death.
yeah,
Stranding.
definitely,
And it's like it doesn't need anymore. Monster Hunter Wilds, the second the beta came out, it was everywhere.
yeah, yeah,
And then like I haven't heard anything else
yeah.
about it.
These are not indie games. These are all AAA games made by the biggest names in the world.
And also most anticipated is such a like a bullshit. It's like, oh, people are anticipating this one. It's like, no, it's not even most excited about
Yeah,
or something. It's just like this is people are expecting these ones. And it's like, cool. We're all like, yeah, I know we're expecting them. I know people are looking forward to them. I live on Earth, right? I have an internet connection.
hmm
This category is such because no one even wins. Like, what is the award for most anticipated game? Is that this is the game that's been advertised the most recently?
yeah. That's what it is ultimately.
Who won?
It was Grand Theft Auto 6.
Okay, so this is the game also that sparked maybe the most quote unquote controversy.
Yeah, well, it has the most views of any trailer on YouTube.
Yeah, because again, of the misogynists are really driving this industry.
I don't know, man. But that brings us to a wrap. I think we're done with the categories that we cared about.
There weren't a lot.
There weren't a lot, to
We
be
didn't. We didn't
honest.
talk about music.
We'll get to it on the next time. It's almost 8 o'clock.
All right. Well, thank you so much for watching. Join us on Monday for what might be the last Bastion stream.
All right.
Who knows? That
But
long series didn't last very long.
by the way, I think this probably will be the Lost Train Valley 2 stream for a while. I'm getting a bit burned out on it. So next time there's an Emilio stream, it'll be a different game.
I will. You can tell me the game, and we will play it on my side.
Sure. Okay.
All
Bye,
right.
everybody.
Thank you, everybody. Bye.